Hello, my name is David Morris. I'm the Public Affairs Manager for the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority. Joining me today are Katherine Yuhas, the Conservation Officer for the Water Authority, and Yvette Tovar, who is the Executive Director of the New Mexico Water Collaborative, which is a nonprofit group that works to support implementation of water conservation and reclamation technologies. So along those lines, today we are going to be talking about rainwater harvesting. And we'll be talking about it in general, of course, but we'll narrow it down in particular to a discussion of a special pilot program that the Water Authority is developing that could help you kickstart your rainwater harvesting efforts. So, Katherine and Yvette, I'd like to start by figuring out what rainwater harvesting actually is. I suspect it has something to do with these orange barrels that I see positioned underneath downspouts at some people's homes here around town.
For the purposes of our program, it means capturing rainfall off of the roof of a building, your home, your business, something like that, storing it, and then reusing it in the landscape. That can be something like a rain barrel, but that doesn't have a lot of capacity. So we're looking at something larger, like a cistern, where you could hold several hundred gallons of water at a time.
And you're talking about using that water on the landscape itself to keep your plants alive.
Exactly, so that you would then not be using drinking water on your landscaping.
And something I'm curious about with respect to using just rainwater to keep your yard alive is the fact that we only get 9 or 10 inches of rain here in Albuquerque every year. So can capturing this rainwater to put on your yard, can that really make that big a difference?
Actually, it really can make a difference. So although it's only 9 to 10 inches of rainwater a year, because we are in an arid climate, we really have a responsibility to maximize those opportunities. And when you look at when the rains do fall, if we were able to capture more of that than we do right now. So for example, if I had a home that was about 1,500 square feet and my roof was that big, I could really hold in the course of a year, I could have a cistern tank that could have a capacity of about 1,200 gallons, right? During a year, I'd probably have about 8,000 gallons of water really coursing through that would be in support of my landscape. Now, depending on how large my yard is or how many plants I have, how many trees, I could comfortably support, say, an 800 square foot xeriscape garden, right? So depending on, again, how many plants I have and how much water they would need would vary. But I'm really looking at offsetting how much fresh water, drinking water, needs to be pumped in order to support my landscape.
So depending on your situation, you could end up using rainwater to take care of all your landscape watering needs.
Yes, so depending on what the water demand is for your particular yard, you could either largely offset it or completely support that water demand with the supply of the rainwater.
I see. So when we're using this technique where we're saving water, but I'm sure there are other advantages that accrue to us by doing so.
Well, the biggest one is that we won't be using treated drinking water on our landscaping. Your landscaping doesn't require chlorinated water that doesn't have any pathogens in it the way you do if you're going to drink it. And so to supply drinking water to your home, we either pump it out of the ground or pump it from the river, we treat it, we deliver it to a reservoir, and then it flows to your house. And all of that takes a lot of energy. And so you can also have the opportunity to save energy when you don't use drinking water on your landscaping.
So you're saving energy, you're saving drinking water, and are there any advantages in terms of the quality of the water itself, rainwater as opposed to treated drinking water?
Yes, so when rainwater stays close to where it originally fell, it's in fact less polluted, right? So there's that advantage. And then the second advantage is that there are nutrients in rainwater that are inherently beneficial to your soil that don't exist, as Katherine talked about, in treated drinking water. So it is actually of a better benefit to your soil than drinking water.
Keeping rainwater on your property prevents it from flowing into the street, picking up contamination that's already in the street, oil, dog poop, things of that nature, that gets carried into the storm drain and then into the river. So there's that added environmental benefit that Yvette was mentioning of it not getting polluted when you keep it on your property.
So a lot of benefits to capturing rainwater and using it on our landscapes.
Definitely.
Now, in order to do this, what kind of infrastructure are we talking about that I'm going to need at my house? I mean, these 80-gallon rain barrels that I see don't sound like the 1,500, or I'm sorry, 1,200-gallon system that you mentioned. So what all is entailed, and then once I've got it installed, how does the water actually get from the cistern or whatever to my plants?
So that's a good question. So we are definitely looking at upsizing, right? The, say, 50-gallon rain barrel someone might typically have under their downspout, because we know that really like the first 30 seconds of a storm event, of a rain, it fills up and then the rest of the water is lost and the opportunity to capture and hold that is gone, right? So in upsizing to larger cistern tanks, then we can hold on to more and then have that be of benefit. All the water that's captured in a cistern tank is definitely connected then to your existing landscape irrigation system, right? So that your irrigation system is then drawing on that water instead of on pumping fresh water to sustain the plant area in that area. Some of the things we have to take into consideration are everything from the size of area of roof that we're capturing, whether you already have rain gutters, if it's just coming straight off a canale, right? What is the conveyance? How do you get it into the tank? Can a tank sit on the side of your house? Do you have enough room for, say, like an 8-foot diameter tank, or does it need to be something a little more streamlined that sort of hugs the side of your house? It depends on whether you're sitting on half an acre of land or you have 15 feet between you and your next door neighbor, whether your roof is flat or pitched, right? So all those things come into consideration.
So there's a lot of factors that come into play. It's obviously not a one-size-fits-all system that would go in. But once it's hooked to my, whatever system I have, once it's hooked into my drip system, how does the water actually get from the cistern to the plants? Is it gravity fed, or are there pumps, or how does that work?
So the water is getting to your plants through your irrigation system. So if you've already got in place an automated drip system, it's really about getting the water from the cistern tank to the water supply, right, tapped into the water source. So typically you're got your water coming from the water meter, right, and that's where your water is piped in to go into. So instead it would be connected to the tank so that it's drawing on the water from the tank.
Right. But in so doing, do I just open up a tap and just leave it on, or is there some kind of...
No, it would be part of an automated system,
Oh,
right?
I see.
So just the way that now you have programmed, right? We have the 3-2-1 and the system for how often we water throughout the year. So instead of that system drawing off of the municipal water, which it's automatically doing when it's scheduled to irrigate, then it would be drawing off of an automated connection valve to the cistern tank.
Right. And so is that can be set up to come on automatically and water the plants.
It can be scheduled when it's needed, right?
As needed. And to actually get the water from the tank to the plant, does it just flow by gravity, or does there have to be a pump?
It would probably be pumped.
Oh, okay. So you're going to need that as well.
Right, because you're trying to control when you use that water, right? So we want to get as much longevity out of the water in a tank as possible. So if you're on a watering system and you've got enough water to really take you through a month of watering, then we want to use that slowly as the landscape actually requires it.
I see. So it sounds like this is a great way to take care of your lawn. It's green and not your lawn, but your desert appropriate xeric landscape, if you will, and it's going to save energy, it's going to save water, it's better for the environment in terms of pollution.
Correct.
But it sounds like it's a little bit of work to get one of these things up and running. So does the Water Authority have any plans for helping folks get started on a project like this?
Well, that's really why we're here today, is to talk about the pilot program that we're doing with the New Mexico Water Collaborative. And it's a study where we're going to select maybe 6-ish homes throughout our service area to install water harvesting systems at a very low cost to the customer, and to study how much money it takes to put them in, and then what the water savings are, and over time what the water savings are. And to use that study to then help us develop a rebate program to encourage installation of these types of systems, to figure out what does it really take for a customer to put one of these in. Do we need, do they need technical assistance? Do they just need money? All of that type of thing. And then the second part is we'll be writing a book, a booklet about rainwater harvesting in this area, to give our customers information, sort of a do-it-yourself type of approach, and then if that seems too burdensome, how you could go about finding a contractor to do it for you, that type of information, to really guide our customers so that we can see more of these types of systems being used in our area.
So when do you plan to start recruiting for these initial participants in this pilot program?
I would say early in 2015, customers who are interested in this should look at their water bill inserts and keep an eye out. I'm not sure exactly which month we'll be ready to start recruiting, but I would think maybe March or April would be the time to look.
Sure, so folks can be aware that this is going to be coming down the pipeline and can get on their radar screen. And of course, it sounds like the Water Authority has plans to make this into a full-blown program at some point where everyone could participate. Just really briefly, what is the point of doing this now? We've been doing conservation in this community for a long time. So what's the impetus to do this right now?
Well, at the start of the conservation program, we started with the least expensive ways to save water, and we started implementing those. And as we have done a better and better job with conservation, we're starting to look at some of the things that are harder and more expensive as ways to save water. And we've done such a great job that we're now at this stage where we're starting to look at, okay, how can we efficiently use rainwater in our landscaping? And that's going to be very important, I think, in the future. And that's what kind of brought you on board with this, right?
Right. Yeah, I think we have the common goal that we're both interested in the long-term sustainability of our water resources, and what can we do as a community, understanding that we all have a responsibility to do whatever we can, to take whatever measures we can. And so this is the next phase
Sure.
of the Water Utility Authority.
Another step in the process of evolution towards sustainability.
Yes,
for the community.
Exactly.
Well, thank you very much. That was very enlightening. And once again, folks can look in their water bill for more information about the pilot program that will be starting next year. And in the meantime, they can still get rebates for just individual rain barrels. For information on that, they can go to www.abcwua.org, correct?
Yes, and all you're going to need is the rebate form and a copy of the receipt for the rain barrel. And you send that in and we put a credit on your water bill. So it's a pretty easy program to participate in.
Sure, and for more information on the Water Collaborative, it's nmwatercollaborative.org, correct?
Yes, thank you.
All right, terrific. Well, my guests today have been Yvette Tovar with the New Mexico Water Collaborative and Katherine Yuhas, the Conservation Officer for the Albuquerque-Bernalillo County Water Utility Authority. My name is David Morris. I'm the Public Affairs Manager. Thank you very much for joining us.